Happy International Women's Day 2021, and welcome to the closing event of Vision 2020 Women's Work Niagara. I'm Deborah Jackson, one of the artists and organizers of the show. Before we begin our presentation, I would like to acknowledge the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. So now I want to welcome one of our keynote speakers, Niagara Regional Councillor Barbara Butters, who will talk to us about the rewards and challenges of political life. Hi, Barbara. Happy International Women's Day.
Hi, same to you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you agreed to do this. I really appreciate it. So we talked a little bit yesterday very casually and just kind of resumed that conversation that we had, and starting with how long you've been in public service and what was it that kind of motivated you to throw your hat in the ring?
Well, very first time I ran was 1997 in the city of Port Colborne for Ward 4. Our city has 4 wards and 2 are elected from each ward. So 97 was when I first caught the bug. I was approached by a group of women who asked me if I was ready to run. And I had helped many, many times in other people's campaigns, federally, provincially, and municipally in over many past years. From the time I think I was about 20 or 21, was the first time I volunteered in a campaign. So I always kind of had that bug anyways, and I always had it in the back of my mind that someday I was going to do it. So my someday came then. And when these group of women approached me and said, you know, there was circumstances happening at that particular time that they thought city councils needed lots of balance and not be lopsided one way or the other. And we saw ourselves as kind of progressive, I think. Mm-hmm. So my husband and I talked it over, and he actually was thinking about it as well. And they had said either one of us, right? It didn't matter to them which one. But I told him it was my turn to do something, because he was involved with the union like his whole career, and I supported that fully and totally, and I was involved with the union as well. But at that point in time, I said, "You're still busy with that stuff, and this is mine." So he said, "Well, let's flip a coin." And I said, "I'm not flipping a coin with you because you cheat. You always beat me." He goes, no, I'll make sure you win. It'll be okay. So we did the coin toss, and I won, and then I was just surrounded by, like, basically on the committee was all women except for my husband and one other guy who were in charge of my signs, and all the rest were women. And wow. we met regularly throughout the campaign. Probably weekly, and around a round table, and the significance of that was that nobody was really any more important than the other. There was no head of the table because it was round. Mm-hmm. So everybody had a really equal voice. Yeah. So that's kind of how it happened, and then from then on, I just ran each time that election time rolled around, and I was really fortunate to get reelected by the people of Ward 4. Mm-hmm. And that to me has been probably the greatest privilege and opportunity and experience, other than having my kids, that I could ask for. So
I think it's really interesting that you're saying that it was a group of women that pushed you in that direction. And I think we're still doing that a lot. It takes a really strong person to actually be the person in that leadership role, and lots of us women see the need for that, and we want to encourage the women to take on those leadership roles because they understand our experiences. But but it's not everybody will take it on. So good
Well,
on
I
you.
think for me though, I never felt that way. I felt like I was surrounded, um, and really supported. Like,
Good.
so it never felt overwhelming in that way
That's
because I was really surrounded by like really strong, capable women.
yeah, yeah.
Couldn't help but come up,
Hmm.
talk about, everybody rising. Like literally that's kind of what happened with how I felt anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. Um, so, I mean, you did mention that a little bit, but some of the things, why is it so important? I really liked your the round table thing where there's no hierarchy and everybody has an equal voice. But what are some of the things, the reasons why you think it's so important that women do have a seat at that table?
Well, when I first started out, I didn't think about it as me being a woman as seated at that table. It just didn't really occur to me. I just felt that I had something to offer, and that's how I looked at it. I didn't see it as a male female thing.
Right.
Um, that really wasn't in my mindset at all.
Yeah.
I did find out after I got elected that the Old Boys Club was alive and well in many ways, and that
Yeah.
to me was a bit of a shock. I think I really hadn't experienced that, so that was kind of a learning curve for me to find ways that I was going to deal with that and handle it. So yeah, those kinds of things were there was lots of things I had to learn, lots.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was okay because I still had that core group of really supportive people around me that helped me through it. Because
Yeah.
nobody does this alone. Like if anybody tells you they do, then they're full of, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they really are. Because nobody does this alone. Not that I've ever experienced, and certainly not my own experience. Um, so to me, I never came from that place of male female type thing. I came to realize certain dynamics as I got into it further, and that just instilled in me all the more why women need to have their voices heard at these tables,
Hmm.
because we do think differently. Our priorities are different. How we approach things are really different.
Hmm.
I kind of think of the analogy. There's one of the guys that worked at in Port Colborne, and he was an engineer. An engineer's brains, I always think it's like a mystery to me because they're so linear, and at least that's what it seemed like to me. And
Right.
their thinking, the way they think, is not the way I think. So we all can get to the same place, but my journey may go kind of in a zigzag, all over the place kind of pattern. That doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it different.
Exactly.
And to me, like, you can come up with some really creative stuff when you allow yourself that kind of freedom to think. And I don't like that outside the box thing because I think that's kind of hokey, but it's more like eclectic or brainstorm thinking
Hmm.
type of stuff. And I admire people that are linear. I just don't happen to be one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's good to have those different people around the table rather than one mindset to
Exactly,
you
because
know.
you can get a lot of good work done
Hmm.
when you bring lots of ideas, because everybody has good ideas. I
Oh,
don't care
yeah.
what political stripe you are. I don't care if you're a guy. I don't care if you're a girl. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Everybody has something to offer. You just have to
Exactly.
be open to be able to hear it,
Right.
and
Right.
then most importantly, act on it.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Last question. What advice would you give to women who are thinking of throwing their hat into the ring? There's been a lot of um, a lot of press about some of the challenges that women are dealing with locally, and even we've seen what poor Catherine McKenna has had to deal with,
Yeah.
um, federally. So we know there's some challenges. What advice would you give and how to overcome those kinds of things?
Well, the first thing I'd say is don't let fear hold you back. That's number one, because that's how we lose out, is
Yeah.
when we fall into that trap of being fearful. So that's my first thing, is don't let fear hold you back. Next thing is surround yourself with trustworthy, strong people, men and women. Don't limit that piece at all. You know, the more you have around you that is positive, the better. So those two things I think are really important in terms of, and it's hard to fight the fear too. Like, I've been in situations where I've been threatened if I did a certain thing.
Wow.
There was be a big, yeah, it's happened a few times.
Wow.
It's not pleasant, but my reaction to that wasn't to cower back in a corner. My reaction to that was I got mad.
Yeah.
I got angry. And I'm thinking, and at the point of time that certain things happened, it was like, the gloves came off, and you know what, you're going to find out what you're made of. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But you can't let fear get in the way. You just can't. Because if you do, you're lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're lost. So that's none of it's easy, but it's so worthwhile. And that's the other beautiful part of it. Like I have books, because I keep logs of the people that call me and whatever the problem is, and times and dates and places and what it took to resolve a question or an issue or a problem, right? And the books have mounted up over the years. And within those books, I've made friendships. I've made connections with people that are really quite wonderful. And it's really nice when, you know, I might meet them on the street, like maybe several years later, and they'll come up and say, oh, you know what, it really meant a lot to us because you helped us with our mom, or blah, 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 whatever it is. And she's doing good. And you know what I mean? It just gives you like a really great feeling in your heart that you've actually helped another person. So that's what this should all be about, is people, not stuff, not fame, not glory. It should be about people and serving your community.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. I don't see myself as a politician. I don't like politics. I think it's a bunch of crap, basically. I think this, for me, it's being an elected representative of people, because it's the people that matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're really grateful as a community that you are one of the people serving us, because you've done a great job. And I really appreciate you talking to us today.
Thanks for the opportunity. And I really hope, like, the women out there, you know, we have opportunities coming up in municipal elections like 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Hope that the people that are, you know, playing around with the idea, do it. Yeah. Just do it.
Well, you know, I'm really, really impressed with some of the women that we do have now.
Me too.
And I hope they stick around, because they've just done so much. And I want to say they're fearless, but I don't know. Maybe they're scared when they're standing up to the bullies. Kind of thing.
You know what? You feel the fear. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
You do feel the fear, but you know when it's happened with a couple of you know, our regional counselors that are women that had to deal with some pretty unpleasant stuff.
I know.
And all the women on that regional council surrounded that person with support and words of encouragement. And because you know what, you at the time you just feel like throwing in the towel. That's what you feel like.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to have that background of people that they have your back.
Yeah, I think that's a really
need that to pull you back up.
Yeah, that's a really good message to let people know too, who are considering it, is that you will have your people. Yeah, and they'll be there for you.
Yeah, and it's funny because it wasn't just the women that were supportive. The men did. The men stepped forward too.
Yeah,
because you know what, we all know what's right and wrong in this world, and it shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. No.
It shouldn't matter.
No.
When something wrong happens, we should all be stepping up to tackle it. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time and being patient with the glitches of
no problem.
of coronavirus technology.
We're all used to glitches.
nothing is the same as it was a year and a half ago when we planned
sure.
the show. So,
That's for sure.
okay. Well, I hope you have a great day, Barbara. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
You
Okay.
too.
All right. Take good care.
Yes, you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.